Alrighty then. So exciting news, the fact that our guest artist today, Nicky Schrire, is going to be performing on the bill of the Cape Town International Jazz Fest. I think massive achievement for any artist out there. Does it rank up among your highlights, would you say?
Well, I hope that once we've done it, it'll have been a highlight. I think certainly the excitement that surrounds the festival and the people who work for ESP Africa are just wonderful people.
Absolutely.
And I've had the privilege of working specifically with there are a lot of women on that team, and I love that.
Sisters!
Yeah, but you know, Lindsay Rhoda has just been tremendous to work with. So to have an email, the logistics of these things are so huge. Yeah. So to have a back and forth with someone who you feel like is really looking after you, who really hears you when you say, well, I'd like to do this, can I do that? Makes the whole experience just probably one of the best experiences I've had leading up to a festival. So, for sure.
What are you as an artist hoping to achieve out of this? I mean, you're going to get the chance to rub shoulders with the who's and who of the music industry, international stars, and everyone who's going to be there. Do you have a specific goal in mind, or is it just one of those things where, as an artist, you hope to get there, perform, entertain, have your audience satisfied and being like, go, okay, cool, that was a great experience?
Definitely the latter.
Yeah.
I think, Katlego, it's a big misconception with anything, whether it's a festival or whether it's a conference.
Yeah.
The whole idea of networking, and I maybe I'm not a very good networker,
okay,
but I think that a lot of musicians go into these things thinking, well, if so-and-so can just hear me once,
yes,
it's going to take me to the next level. And 90% of the time, that's not how it works. The majority of people are the rule, and the minority of people are the exception. And I think in the arts, which is such a competitive industry, and so much of it actually has to do with luck, right place, right time.
Yeah.
I think if you can just go into it saying, I'm going to put my best foot forward, I'm going to have learned something in the process, I'm going to share it with friends, and I'm going to keep good company and learn from my musician peers. That's a much better goal to have versus, well, I know that, you know, Robert Glasper's on the festival and he's going to hear me, and next thing he's going to ask me, you know, it generally doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
You could be the exception, in which case, you know, more the power to you.
Absolutely.
But I'm just going into it being like, we're going to put together a great set.
Yes.
It's going to be representative of music that appeals to jazz lovers and people who perhaps aren't that keen on jazz per se. And I get to keep amazing company. So bringing my friends along for that is a thrill, for sure.
I want to tap a little bit into your knowledge as a lecturer and somebody who imparts the knowledge of music and especially of voice to your students. What's the one thing you want them to walk away with after having attended your course and having learned from you as an artist that's valuable to them?
Well, there are two things. The one that my students always chuckle when I say this, but it's just music. It's not open heart surgery.
It's not that complicated.
Yeah, and I think that especially at UCT, and I think when you're studying something at tertiary school level, you get very bogged down by the challenges of it. And it's hard. Jazz is a hard music to learn. And you kind of forget why you're doing it. And you forget, especially as for the singers, you forget that it's a song and you're telling a story because you have lyrics more often than not. That sort of bigger picture. And also that if they choose not to pursue a career in jazz, which in some ways I wouldn't necessarily encourage them to think like that. They've got to think broader, they've got to be able to do a lot of different genres, but ultimately they have to be able to perform in whichever genre makes them happiest. The other thing that I always impart to them, which is something I learned from the head of jazz at Manhattan School of Music, which is where I did my master's, he said on our first day, he just said, listen, work a little bit harder than everyone else and pay attention to detail.
Wow.
And that goes across the board, regardless of whether you're in the corporate world. Or it really is the way to kind of just go forward.
So don't just get a masterclass here.
Like absolutely.
Well, Graham, I'm going to invoice
It just happened.
So you know,
I was only here for like the last
excited.
5% of it, so please.
This is what Monday Motivation is all about.
Wow,
this is what they meant.
Wow, that was good.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, tickets are, I'm sure, are on sale right now.
Tickets are on sale. You can buy single day. My show is on the Moses Mololekwa stage on Friday, the 23rd of March at 7 p.m. And I have Melissa van der Spey on the keys, and Kevin Gibson's on drums, and Chris Engel, my friend, is coming from Dublin. He's playing saxophone. Ariella Kyra is on cello, and Sean Samby, who you heard earlier, is on bass.
Wow.
And you can buy tickets.
Fantastic. Get those tickets. Get those tickets.
Wow.
You must teach Zoe how to sing, yeah? You can do that too. You can.
You can teach
I'm a bit of a hopeless case at the moment.
You gotta go, guys. Have a wonderful Monday.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you so much. Love you to bits.
Nicky Schrire!